What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're finally going to be bringing you the Mono Red Pan deck that was used in the Battle Chamber video against the Broly Veggies. So I've been playing Mono Red Pan for a while now, and I feel like it's at a really good place in the meta. I think it has good matchups across the board. It has a pretty good Gogeta matchup. It has a pretty good Janemba matchup. Obviously, if you brick and you don't draw your pieces early enough, things can go the wrong way. But with this deck build, we're trying to eliminate bricking, and we're always trying to have a play at every turn, and we're trying to have multiple options on what we could do. Pan is a really good leader. If you don't know what the leader does, it's basically, it's from set 3, it's from Cross Worlds. It was one of like the first untap leaders on Awaken, so it's an untap 2 when you awaken. On the front side, its auto is, during either player's turn, once per turn, when you play a battle card, it gets plus 5,000 power. Now, if the battle card you played with the plus 5,000 gets to 20,000 power, you draw a card. So you'll see cards in the deck that help utilize that effect, so you can draw on both sides. And then you awaken untap 2. It's the same effect on the backside, but when you attack, you draw a card. So it's like your basic leader auto draw when you attack, but it does have that plus 5k pump to any battle card that you play, which actually comes in handy even if you don't draw off of it. Like, as you'll see throughout the deck, there's certain things that will help, you know, put you over the edge in certain situations. So we're gonna get right into it. It is mono red, but we are playing like a couple off color cards, but you never really charge them, so technically it's mono red. The first card we're gonna go over is Mysterious Warrior Masayan. So he's really good because he's a cheap threat. For 1 energy and 5 in the Overrealm, you can bring him out, and he just, you know, blows up your opponent's board. He's really good against Veggies. I wish I would have seen him a little bit in that matchup that I had on the Battle Chamber, but you know, it was just I played horribly, and you know, I didn't really have any plays that just got blown out. It happens sometimes, but he's really good because he can get rid of, like, you know, anything that's up to cost 5. So a whole bunch of 1 drops, a 3 drop, and a 2 drop, a 5 drop that doesn't have barrier. So there's a lot of versatility with what you can get rid of. I was actually playing against somebody, and I was able to get rid of their Gogeta 5, which I was like, oh snap, I forgot Gogeta 5 doesn't have barrier, so I could just kill it, which is really good. It's one of the first Overrealm cards that we had introduced to us back in the Heroes Villains expansion, and it's been a really good card in the meta since then, so it's really good. Next, we're playing one Scientist Fu. Now, Scientist Fu is another just like kind of win con on its own. Mass Saiyan can win the game on his own because if you play him with Pan, he will become a 25k because he'll get the 5k pump and you'll get to draw a card, so it's really good. But Scientist Fu is just so much value. For 1 energy, you can bring him out. He becomes a 30k double strike because of Pan's ability, and then you get to draw 2 cards, so you immediately +1 because you're replacing him. So you're just filtering through your deck, and you're just adding more and more pressure to your opponent, which towards the late stages of the game, it becomes crucial on what they choose to take as damage and what they choose to combo out from. So I like having the 1-1 split because I like versatility, and like if my opponent goes wide, then I like to have Masayan. If my opponent's playing like kind of like a tempo, I like to have Scientist Fu. And then, of course, in the sideboard, I have the other copies of them to just kind of, you know, change in and out depending on the matchup. And then next, probably the best card in the deck, Zeno, the Playing God. Chain Attack Zeno is just such a great combo. It's just such a good reset. Against Janemba, like, you know, once you're awakened, or like once you're in awakening range, if you can chain attack Zeno them and then awaken, you get so much value off of it because all that hand advantage that you've built up throughout the game just now gets shuffled back into your deck. So you have more cards to mill, so your survivability lasts longer. So that's why I like that's why I like Zeno in this deck. Also, it helps clear boards. It helps answer deadly defenders. So there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of reasons to play this card in the deck. Now we're going to get into the red stuff. So I'm playing 2 Saiyan Kabas. I like Saiyan Kaba. It's a cheap threat. You know, being able to play it for 1 and then giving it a 10k double with its auto. But with Pan, if it's the first battle card you play, it does gain 5k off of the leader's ability. So it will become a 10k base. And then after its effect, it becomes a 20k double strike with not much investment. You know, for 1 energy and at the cost of taking a life, having a 20k double striker is pretty insane, especially late game. The next card we have is we're playing 4 Intensifying Power Trunks. just a really good card. It's your chain attack. It's your chain attack evolve target. You know, you don't have to commit so much energy to that play. You could just play it. You know, if your opponent's playing like a slower deck and there's really no threat of them killing your chain attack, your intensifying, you just kind of leave it on board. But again, it's the same thing with Kaba, except instead of double strike, it's critical. So, you know, you can play it, give it the 5k, and then swing for 20k crit, which can be huge. The next card, we're playing 4 of Heroic Duo Videl. I just want to really quick shout out Anthony Hernandez. He kind of gave me the idea because he's playing a pan variant as well. Before I was playing 4 After Image instead of 4 Videl, and he kind of made a good point. And because Videl's an Earthling, she's essentially still a negate, but she's also a 5k combo on the board. What makes her really good is that she's an Earthling, so she can be searched from Yamcha. So it just gives Yamcha another target, because sometimes it feels bad when you do Yamcha and you whiff. So I do want to shout out Anthony Hernandez. Thank you for that tip, and it's been working wonders, man. Next card, we're getting to 4 Unending Awakenings. It's your best negate to play, in my opinion. After Image is really good, but, you know, Unending Awakening kind of works like a pseudo bean, and it just kind of makes your leader bigger, whereas After Image doesn't really negate the attack. I mean, in certain situations, After Image is a better counter card than Unending, but just personal preference, I really like Unending over After Image at this point because I rarely tap out. I can see the argument being made for After Image, and maybe down the line, like the perfect ratio will be 2-2. But for right now, Unending has been working really well, and I like it, so I'm going to keep it the way it is. I'm playing 4 Sideline Assist Bulma. That's my super combo. I'm not playing the Master Roshi. I kind of don't really like the Sparking ones in this deck, particularly because I get to 4 life faster than I get to 5 in drop. Because I combo with my stuff, but like basically they go on the board, especially early game. So I like Sideline Assist Bulma for 2 reasons. Obviously, you know, she's the 10k draw for 4 life, but she's also a search target off of Yamcha. And I don't like having to rely on sparking ability, but, you know, to each his own. If you play a more aggressive style and you're comboing, you're constantly just throwing cards at your opponent, getting 5 in the drop is not that difficult. Plus, I'm playing Overrealm too, so I don't want to overrealm my cards away and not have my sparking super combo live. So I just prefer Bulma. And then Yamcha, which is probably the highest value card in your deck. It's a 2-drop 15k with Pan's effect. He comes out to 20 and you draw a card. So you already +1. And then Yamcha's effect is when you attack, you can look at the top 3 and add an Earthling. So you +2 off of Yamcha, and a 20k hitter on turn 2 is pretty nuts. And because he's 15k, he does have some survivability early on in the game. Because your opponent's not awakened, they'll have to combo up in order to attack, or they can play their own, 2-drop threat that's 15k and just kind of go with it that way. But Yamcha just gives you insane value because most of your deck is Earthlings. You know, you can add Yamcha, you can add Pan, you can add a whole bunch of stuff. So I really like Yamcha. I think it's like the go-to like turn 2. And like I said earlier in the video, I want to have something to do every turn. Like turn 1, I can play Intensifying. Turn 2, I can play Yamcha. Turn 3, I can play Digging Deep, which we'll get into, and so on and so forth. And then you really just curve everything out by turn 5. That's kind of your sweet spot in this deck. But yeah, Yamcha is just really good and gives you a lot of survivability in the game. Next card, we're playing 3 double shot Super Saiyan 2 Vegetas. I was playing 4, but I felt like 4 was a little too cloggy. There were times when I would just kind of keep drawing these and not have the energy to use them. I feel like 3 is a much better ratio because I'll be able to use them early for defense and draw. Basically, that's what it is. Like you basically just, your turn 1, if you don't have a turn 1 play, you just charge and pass. And then if your opponent hits you, you just play double shot. And it gives you a threat on board and you replace itself with Pan's Auto. So it's just really, really good. This is the one card that does proc Pan on defense. So defensively, when it's your opponent's turn and you play double shot, you will proc Pan's Auto. So it's kind of useful for that as well. And I really like it. You know, it's a red battle card, if anything. So it does become pretty important later on towards the end of the game. Next, we're playing 2 Fearless Pan. I know most lists play more than 2, but I personally only own 2. But I like having 2 Fearless Pan because, you know, it's kind of one of your win cons. You know, you go wide in this deck, so playing Fearless Pan off of either a chain attack or just hard casting it gives everything double strike, and she's a barrier blocker, so she does come in handy when it comes to that. Next, we're playing 2 Digging Deep Vegeta. Digging Deep Vegeta is very, very good, especially against slower decks. So, like against Janemba or like against Shenron that they're not really hitting you. You're going to play Digging Deep Vegeta and just accrue so much value off of it. It's a 3-drop, 15k. It goes up to 20 off of Pan's auto and draws you a card, and then its auto is when it attacks. You can take up to 1 or 2 lives and then restand him and give him plus 5k. So he becomes a 25k swing the first turn you play him twice, which is insane. That's just insane value for a 3-drop, and you're getting closer to your Awakening state. If for some reason he survives, you just do it again next turn. Sure, he'll be 5k less, but getting to your Awaken without having to put too much effort into it is really, really clutch. Now we're playing 2 Bodyguard Legics. Bodyguard Legic is really good because, like I said, it's one of those filter cards where, like, if you don't have anything to do and your opponent decides to just put something on board, you could just free play him and draw. And it's not really that bad of a play. You could just free play him, draw. He becomes 20k for the turn, but you just leave him because he's a blocker, so you could use him later. But there are instances where if Legic does survive to the later game, and you bring out a Fearless Pan with just like a board of red cards, he can swing for 20k double strike lethal, and it becomes a huge tempo swing. Just having a free card that you can play. For all you Yu-Gi-Oh players, Cyber Dragon was a good card for a really, really long time. So Legic is kind of similar to that. Next, we're playing 2 Body Change Ginyus. I did want to find room for a third one, but I just don't see what I can cut. Body Change Ginyu is really good. Off the auto with Pan, you draw, of course. And, being able to take control of your opponent's battle cards is insane. The other thing, too, is when he comes out, he pumps himself by 10. So he's becoming a 30k swing for 3 energy. You're just getting a lot of value for your lower drops in this deck because of Pan's auto. And if they play something like Shenron, or if they play something like their own Yamcha or At All Cost Vegeta, you can just body change it and take control of it and then use it for your benefit. Chain Attack Trunks, self-explanatory. I mean, it's your evolve target over intensifying, and it brings in your Zenos for board reset, which is super important. But you can also go wide with like Pans and Ginyus and Yamchas and stuff like that. Just bring in cards for value. If you're evolving, you're only paying 2 energy to bring a minimum of 2 battle cards in, and it's just really, really good. The other added bonus he has is he can attack active battle cards. So if for some reason somebody's dropping striving to be the best on you, you can just swing at it, and they'll have to combo a lot over it to get it over. Now objectively the best card in the deck is Hit. I mean, Hit is just a monster. You tap 4, you play it, you get 5k, you draw, so he becomes a 25k double swing, or double strike swing. And looking at your opponent's hand is really good, taking stuff out of their hand that they can combo with, and just having the knowledge so how you can sequence your win. If you're playing Hit, you're very close to winning. I wouldn't say that you play Hit and you win automatically, but you're very close to winning. Yeah, because you're taking 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. It's just really, really good. And if you can like double hit, like hit one turn and then hit against the next turn, that's 4 damage on the board. It's just insane. And then for the extra sweet spice, I want to shout out my teammate David and Graham. They kind of gave me this idea along the lines of just having a solid win con, for late game, like an alternative win con. So shout out to you guys. We're playing 2 of the Untap Energy SS3 Goku and 2 Triple Flash Goku. So Untap SS3 is basically a 5-drop. When he comes on board, he untaps an energy, draws a card, and gives himself 5k. It's just ridiculous. So when you're playing Pan, you tap 5, play him, you draw off of his auto, untap an energy, and give him 5k. So he becomes 30 off of himself, and then Pan will give him another 5k and draw you a card. So you draw 2 cards off of this play, and you increase your power by 10. The 1 red energy that you untapped with his entry, you use it to play Triple Flash, and then the combo power carries, like the pump carries over. So Triple Flash will come down as a 40k and draw you 2 cards. If your opponent's at 3 life, you just win, because you're going to have so many cards in your hand at that point. You just swing, they can't counter, They can't activate counters. So like no Mafuba, nothing. You can't activate counters on this card if he's at 40k. And he has deflect. They both have deflect, so you can't bloodlust or anything like that. I was able to get this off for a game a couple times in the tournament, and it's just really, really solid. It's a really great win con. 2 and 2 is like the perfect scenario as far as the split and the ratio goes. I wouldn't play more and I wouldn't play any less. That's pretty much it though. Like this deck is really, really solid. I encourage you guys to try it out. It's really fun to play. It's really powerful. It has really good matchups. It's like a hybrid deck. Like it's defensive but aggressive at the same time. So just try it out. Like if you're a big fan of red, you know, Pan's probably the best red leader in the game right now, in my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this deck. What changes would you make? If you're running it, what's your ratio or what's your variant that you're running? Are you experimenting with some blue? I know some players play red-blue, but for the most part, this is the deck profile that I've been playing this deck like consistently for like a month now. So it's pretty good. I'm pretty confident like that I know the ins and outs of it, and I'm pretty confident that it has good matchups across the board. So if you're looking for like that deck that's going to put you over the top, check this out. And then let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for the support. We'll see you in the next video. Be there or be squared.